Okay, no. Welcome in, everybody. It's art day.
Woo!
It's a little bit of a late start, but it happens. That happens. I like how for some reason, I don't know why this is the thing that Aggie's like, you know what we need? Perspective. It's like, all right. It's cool.
Did that get added recently?
Yeah. Shoot. Hold on a second. Okay. Rugby. We're drawing rugby. It is the Fridays. Okay. Apparently the person across the street is building a race car.
Cool. Good for them.
I went to try to switch out the valve cover gasket in my car yesterday. And I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure I can do this. I'm confident I know what I'm doing. And I get in there and like there's a whole bunch of cables that are just like zip tied to my engine. I'm like, oh. So I didn't do it. And now I have to go in there and like cut it all apart and then put it back together later. So, no fun. That's my complaint for the day.
Zip ties is not what I was expecting.
Yeah, exactly. I went to unscrew like a plastic gasket, not a gasket, but like it's just holding wires down, right? And I went to unscrew it, and unscrewing it broke it. And I was like, that's not good. How does that happen?
Are you streaming successfully? I can't find it on YouTube.
Uh-oh.
Yet.
It's set to members only. Because that's what I put yesterday, too. Hold on a second. There we go. I was wondering where everybody was.
There it is. Perfect.
Oh, my spine. Okay. Right, I was doing another thing. I like this little VTuber bird, but I hate that the UI constantly pops up. And I don't know how to turn that off. Spout stream? What does that mean? Okay, there. That's permanently turned off. That's good.
No idea. Hello, Bray.
do 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 do. Welcome in, everybody. Sorry, I had the setting to members only. That's my bad.
Okay, we haven't gotten anywhere with any drawings yet, so.
Yeah, that's okay. Gotta click all the buttons. Do 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 do. Welcome in, Bri. I can't tell if this guy's car like can't stay on, or he just really loves revving it.
I can actually hear it in
Yeah.
Discord.
It's real loud. This isn't a rugby. What am I doing? Spaceman. That's a character I haven't drawn in a long time. My brain is already fried. It's like 11:30 on a Friday.
Well, I mean, Friday thing kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah. Elvin here, welcome in. I'm doing pretty good. Let's get some rugby drawn before we start this up. Struggling, trying to poop. Dragon Turtle, welcome in. My circles and lines are not great today. Today might be a paint day.
Yeah, Rugby's eyes are a little bit lopsided. You okay, Rugby, buddy? You got astigmatism going there? Thought I'd try a spider character, given your recent short.
Nice.
And I just realized I have a hard enough time posing one set of hands. How the hell am I going to do 6?
Yeah. It was something we talked about a bunch with the... that was done for the... Balaam Secrets of Vapor, I believe. I've been doing a bunch of bug stuff for them lately. And we had that discussion of like, how many arms should this thing have? How many hands should this thing have? And they had their own little system for it. And I was like, yeah, I should just ask the Discord and see what YouTube thinks too, because it'd be interesting. I think I might do my next video I might do it for the Anati. or Eder caps, or whatever you want to call them, because they're kind of a fun concept. And I've tried to build Spider-Man a few times. So much so that Antic, my Frost Ninja, was originally a Spider-Man character. And it did not work that way. And it just became its own thing. So I was trying to give a ninja, like, non-stop spider climb, and tried to make, like, throwing stars and stuff. 4 arms, 4 legs. Yeah, that's kind of what a bunch of the other people said, too.
Yeah. I saw a lot of needs to be a spider centaur, which is just it's just a drider.
A drider with 4 arms, yeah. I mean, the driders make even less sense because they are full spider with a person stuck on top.
Yeah, but like,
because that's
really
always been the. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that really is the exact same as a centaur, though, right?
Yeah.
It's just a horse, but you cut off the neck and stuck a person's torso
on top,
where
right,
it was.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing that always kind of like weirded me out about centaurs. Is like, why isn't a centaur a horse with a person head? I'm like, hello. No, they're like, no. We need a whole nother person on top. It's like, that's fucking weird.
I honestly think that, given my understanding of mythologies, it probably was that a horse with a person's head instead. At some point, and then somebody tried to draw it, and it was like, this is weird. Let's make it sexier.
Because they also have like the lamias. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
The sphinx things. Not the snake people. That's the anime thing. The sphinxes are like lions with people faces. And then that's pretty weird enough. But then they're like, oh, but also boobs. It's like, why boobs though? And they're like, do we mention that they have bird feet? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Is it a griffin or a sphinx? I don't know what's happening here. So, Douglas, welcome in.
Oh, thank you for that image, Brian.
Right? It's weird. Oh, goat feet. My bad. Excuse me. Whoa.
I think manticores are one of the few creatures that actually manage to keep all of their weirdness within the cultural lexicon, and did not just become furified.
Maybe.
Because they're still lions with scorpion tails, eagle's wings, and the face of a human, but the rows and rows of teeth of a shark, right?
Oh, I didn't know the shark thing.
I don't know if it's directly related to a shark, but I'm pretty sure they are always depicted as having 3 rows of teeth.
I really thought the cockatrices could breathe fire. Apparently that's not a thing.
I do think that it depends on which legend you're talking about.
Could be.
Cockatrice you're talking about, because I've heard that as well, but I very rarely see it depicted. It was an almighty baby scream.
Yep. Apparently got wrapped up in his hat. Humans torso on animal bodies where the head and neck should go, which makes me wonder about multi-headed creatures like the hydras and cerberuses. Yeah, I mean, I think those are separate too. Those are kind of different things. Because like even the minotaur is just a big dude with a bull head, right?
Yeah.
Like that still fits into the just swap the heads out. But like, yeah, merfolks don't make sense. Because it's essentially like essentially the way I was thinking about like merfolks is that a fish has eaten somebody. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
Fish has started trying to eat somebody, and you've met a spirit that lives inside of a fish. And the centaurs are kind of the same thing. Like if a horse ate half of a person, that's a centaur. I really think that like I really think that centaurs are probably just, like you got your person, or you got your horse, sorry. Then you put your person on top. And, like, somewhere along the line, there was somebody that decided to ride a horse like this. And then just, like, wear, like, a skirt over it. And people are like, oh, my God, that horse has a dude for a head. And they're like, what about the horse head? Like, no, don't worry about that. Just ignore it. Because if you cover up most of a horse with a blanket, you got a centaur. Like, it's just like...
Yeah. Yeah.
The amount of elf sub-races that exist are nuts. Yeah, it's always been my my stance. If you go back and watch my elf video, I think I made an elf video. Yeah. It's always been my stance that elves are just way too horny, and... I mean, if you live long enough, you're eventually going to have sex with everything. Rocks and trees included, apparently.
That's not where the Genasi come from, and you know it.
But there are like elven sub-races of like seasons. So figure that one out for me.
I figured that was just a Fey influence, a Fey influenced bloodline.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing. The Knuckle
Yeah, I always thought it was
centaurs that still have the horse's head. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, pretty much.
It's a geometric rugby. Minimalist rugby. There we go. No, so the thing with the Fae, if you want to go that route, is which came first, elves or Fae? Which I would argue the Fae probably did.
Yeah. That's what I would argue as well.
So if the elves pop up, and then there's like really sexy looking rocks that can talk to you, there's got to be at least one elf that is like, yep, this is my life now. Me and this rock. Fae elves.
Probably same thing with dragons.
Probably, yep. Elliot, thank you for the membership. Elves are a type of Fae. Yeah, in the past they have been. And I'm okay with that too. Elves
They're
and
just not
goblins.
defined. Yeah, they're just not defined that way within most TTRPG settings.
Yeah.
Because D&D set the precedence that they were Tolkien-esque.
Which, in my mind, like, the Tolkien-esque elves are essentially more Fae, but, like, there's no Fae realm, right? Like,
Yeah.
elves are intrinsically linked to nature and the health of the world, which, in my mind, that's Fae. That's what the Fae is. The Fae is just, like, the living earth itself. But D&D split them. So, like, the Fae realm is a completely different place. And so, yeah. The Eldrin, I hope spelling that correct. Yeah, I think it's with an E, I think the Eldrin. Which, yeah, they very much are like the Fae elves. And I like them. I like that aspect of them. So that's usually what I play when I pick an elf.
So, I thought that's what we were talking about, because those are the only elf of seasons that...
That is what I was talking about, yeah. So, but those, once again, same thing. Those are the Fae elves in my mind. I think that is the way that you do it. Because otherwise you have like void elves, and you have space elves, and you have what are the other ones? There's like the ancient elves are kind of interesting, but celestial elves. Are the Eldrin the celestial elves? I thought they were the...
No, I'm pretty sure that they were Fae. I don't know which would be the celestial elves. But I mean, Tolkien elves would be the celestial elves, honestly. since they're supposed to
Eldrin
be
Elves of the Feywild, yeah. Using magic, Eldrin can step from one place to another. I don't know what the Celestial ones are. Let me look that up. Celestial Eldrin. Okay, so the Eldrin are just half-elves, essentially, like some kind of elf mixture. Celestial Eldrins were wild fey beings of beauty and grace and considered among noble Eldrins. There's just another version. They were before 5e. Ah, okay. In the book 3.5 edition, there are spells on merging two creatures and possible outcomes. Dragonborn, werewolves, evolutions, centaurs. Yeah. 5e had an interesting system, or 3.5 had an interesting bad yawning system for mixing things together, because you just had to basically like rebalance it.
Yeah.
Pick one thing, get rid of something. Which mechanically I think works really well. You still come up with some crazy things.
I mean, we've run into it in discussions in the past. 5e desperately needed a system like that for all of the homebrew stuff that people did to make mixed races, and decided that they were just going to get everything from everything.
Right. I do think, like, I like the concept of dark vision, but right now everyone kind of plays it as just perfect vision in the dark.
Yeah, which it's not supposed to be.
It's not supposed to be, yeah. And so I think it'd be more interesting if people actually started using it correctly. Like, not being able to see colors should be a big deal. Like, that's a huge evolutionary advantage that we have that we just kind of disregard. If you don't mind me asking, do you know where that spell is? Oh, that was a spell? I thought that was just character creation. Interesting. I'm going to roll some dice. Today's going to be, I feel like it's going to be a slow one, so I'm going to start.
Sounds good.
I'm just going to meander. 25. A gene-modded wolf Viking from Traveler. Psionic tracker that works for Bloodhound, Bale, and Bonds. That's a cool sounding character, but I have no idea what it's from.
Is Tracker the TTRPG setting?
I don't know. Traveler. Okay, Traveler is a role-playing game. Traveler is a science fiction role-playing game first published in 1977 by Game Designers Workshop.
Cool.
Editions were published for GURPS, D20, and other role-playing systems. Cool. Okay. So, sci-fi. Sci-fi gene-modded Viking wolf.
Ooh, the art for this system is pretty badass.
So I assume the gene-modded thing just means it's awakened.
Probably. It looks, it looks like they do have, anthropomorphized animal creatures.
Pages from the Mages. Is that a real book? Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Yep, alright.
AD&D, I think AD&D is No, I believe that AD&D is separate from second edition, isn't it?
No, I think they're.
No.
I think they are the same.
Okay. All right, I'm ready for prompt 2.
Sorry. So second edition is the second edition of AD&D.
Okay.
Yeah. AD&D second edition with no additional rules and scopes.
Atomic Sorcerer Shared Vargr, which looks like that's what the gene spliced or gene modded wolf is.
Yeah, okay. Viking sci-fi wolfman.
Am I still rolling?
Yeah, roll a d20
like
and a
d6.
d30.
Okay. 4.
A heavily armored Warforged Paladin wielding a greatsword tasked with guarding a church that is nothing but ruins.
Okay. Heavy Warforged Paladin. Got it.
There's a good chunk here, waiting for Faithful to return as the overgrowth slowly consumes him. So, a overgrown ancient Warforged Paladin.
Okay. Cool.
What Viking powers?
Pillage and plunder.
I meant more like, what should I do to make this look like a Viking? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, let's see if I can draw and hold this. Hold this baby.
Torque will read as Viking.
Torque?
The thing around the neck that looks like
Oh, yeah.
the braided.
What's up? What are you doing?
Wiki.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Is that better? I want to be held, but I don't want you to touch me. I personally don't like the fact that some people restrict the paladin to a good aligned. I personally think it's restricting creativity. Yeah. It's a little lazy. but at the same time, like there are alternatives. Like if you want to be a bad paladin, be an anti-paladin. It's exactly the same. Like
Yep. Or like I mean like what you're talking about is just what the Oathbreaker
yeah.
can be, right?
Pardon me, kiddo. Oh my goodness, what are you doing? Hey, what's your problem? What's your jam? All right, hold on a second.
Yep. Don't worry, I got this. Yeah. Anyway, in Pathfinder they had the anti-paladin, and then in second edition they were just like it doesn't make sense to have a completely different class for what is basically the opposite alignment of the exact same thing. Since they were playing with alignment anyway, they just the paladin just became the champion, and whether or not you're good or evil depends on what you do and which deity you follow. So, I like the complaint. I think is absolutely valid, but also it's kind of a 5e exclusive problem. One that like I said they have the Oathbreaker, right? So they did also kind of address the problem. Dragon Turtle, correct. The Paladin became the champion, and it is not by default a holy class. There is, I think the cleric is the only one that is by default a holy class, and even then, like their holy is no longer like tied to celestial planes. Holy is no longer default good. It just refers to the fact that you worship a deity.
Everything is everywhere.
Anyway, I really like the champion. I think I've said it before, but I'll say it again. The champion is my favorite iteration of the paladin that I've ever seen in a game like D&D. Anyway, so yeah, the champion does not even have to follow a specific deity or any deity. I believe they can have I believe they just get power from their oath. I could be wrong on that. Anyway, I've got an NPC who is a paladin of Haifeng, is a eastern coded deity of storms and weather. Very cool. Uh-oh. Sounds like Rook's having issues. Yeah, but the champion is really very cool. I think a lot of people, or I think when I tell people that the champion is the paladin and is also no longer a paladin, people kind of get up in arms about it, but it still functions really well. And in all the ways you expect a paladin to function. It still has lay on hands. You're still dedicated to a cause or championing a deity. It's just it gets rid of all of the charged sort of terminology in order to make it function more broadly, which is something I really like. I'm drawing War Machine, aren't I?
Okay. Is there an echo with
Everything
music
fixed?
now?
Let's see.
Can people hear double music? I basically can't have my headphones on right now. If you follow the same rules as paladins, they only select is deity if their setting demands it. Yeah, so the thing with paladins is, like, I don't think they're supposed to be... They don't necessarily have to be good. They just need to be lawful.
Yeah.
And the Oathbreaker Paladin, I would say, is the only, like, non-lawful paladin.
Yeah. I told them about the champion.
Okay.
In 2e, which I like better because it removes all of the charged terminology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, the anathema system, I think, is much better. Just like, this is what it means to be lawful. These are the things that you do. These are the things you try to achieve. And that's where you drive your power from. But, yeah, the lawful good thing, like, it's a great starting point.
Yeah. And feels like historically accurate for the term paladin, right?
Right, yeah.
You know, actual orders of paladins were pretty shitty.
Yeah, I was looking that up yesterday. Because, like, so the origin is from, like, the French word for being, like, a selected knight. Like a...
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to be a paladin that's not like an actual paladin, then just be a fighter. Like that's really what it is.
Yeah. And if you want to be a paladin that is still a paladin but is not aligned, just talk to your GM about it.
Yeah.
Or build an Oathbreaker.
You 100% don't have to like believe. I've made a cat folk is what I've done. No, I think the biggest thing people kind of don't get is just because your character's alignment is good doesn't mean you have to play lawful stupid. Like, that's the biggest thing that I think people don't quite understand.
Yeah.
I'm a paladin and I'm only here to help people. Look, I stole 5 gold from that guy. I must murder you. It's like, that is not... it's not appropriate. That's not an appropriate thing.
Or accurate.
Now, hey, steal 5 gold from that guy. Okay. Like, that's also not right.
Yeah, yeah.
So. I'm trying to think of good examples of paladins to use of, like, people that have characters that have been written well. Michael from Dresden is kind of that traditional lawful good,
Yeah.
but not lawful stupid, which is great. And then there's also like Misha, which is awesome. He's an agnostic paladin. His powers come from God, but he's like, yeah, I don't really believe in that, but hey, it works, so whatever.
Yep. Harry's literally like, the angel Gabriel came out of heaven and handed you this sword personally, and you don't believe in the God that you're serving. No, not really.
It could have been a hallucination. I don't know.
Yeah. It's very funny. It's very good. Yeah, I agree. I think that they are excellent examples of lawful good written well.
Another non-typical paladin is the Mandalorian. Yep, yeah, Mandalorian's a great example. Like, it's not deity based. It's just like law based, right?
Yeah.
No, don't. No smooches. Here. This kid is so weird. He refuses to do anything to help himself.
He is barely a month and a half
He's barely a month
old. Yeah, barely a month old.
This weekend, a month old.
It's yeah. That's makes sense.
What's the game where you play as a baby and just try to off yourself?
Oh,
I feel like that's
forget.
way more accurate than People lit on.
Baby crawls away while dad is trying to baby-proof the house and gets into the bathroom and chugs, like, just absolutely slams an entire gallon of bleach. Yeah.
I'll climb into the oven.
Doesn't matter that it's on.
The only way that feels good for me to sleep is the one way that will kill me. It's like, don't do that. We were talking to our doctor, and they were basically saying, like, it's surprising that we all survived, because the suggestions that doctors are giving people in, like, the 70s and 80s are not what you're supposed to do now. It's just like, don't do that. Yeah, just put the baby in the bed between you guys. It'll be fine. It's like, don't do that.
I mean, it was just survival of the fittest. And also the fittest parents. Their kids survived.
Yeah, the 70s and 80s doctor recommendations for babies are completely different now. So, if you have books that are that old about parenting, throw them away. What's up, little guy? Oh my. Okay, fine. No pacifiers, just rage.
Ah, he's already chosen his favorite class then. Barbarian.
Yep.
Congratulations. I suppose it's also kind of an appropriate class given the mask you made for him.
It's true.
As much as Koroks could be druids, I like to think of them more as barbarians.
All the Koroks are barbarians. I need to get to my friend.
We stole the reason for this other Korok's existence and scattered it everywhere. You want these seeds back? Fucking find me. Where do you find the Parenthood patch notes then?
Sorry. Where do you find the Parenthood patch notes of having a hard time keeping up with these developers? Your doctor.
It is. You may actually be able to find decent advice online, but just like everything else, be super careful.
What I've discovered is
sources.
Yeah, what I've discovered from looking at shit online is like, it's really weird because even between states they have different recommendations.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to like find consensuses without going to at least two places, and I usually try to find like things directly from the pediatric associations.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really don't know how to feel about this, do you? Nope. You might not be a pacifier kid.
Do you want the strap?
It's gonna be a slow drawn day.
Baby insists attention.
Alright. What kind of arms should we do? Should we do big, burly wolf arms, or should we do normal people arms?
I like the wolf arms personally.
Where'd that perspective thing go?
I don't even know where you found that.
I think I can make it so only I can see it. Kiddo. Okay, hold on a second. No. Everything I know about babies is wrong. Ow. Okay, head bonking me in the face is not a good idea.
No, it'll hurt you as much as it hurts Rook.
Okay, let's try this again. If baby wishes to speak. Yeah. Do you use data stuff all the time? Yeah, people do. And I mean, like, things change, right? Like, that's totally fine. Things changing is totally fine. Because, like, a big thing was, like, formula and how often you're supposed to use formula. Like, now it's like, don't if you don't have to. But in, like, the 20s or 40s, whenever the formula started coming out, like, that was a godsend.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, I don't want to use formula. Well, your kid's going to die. It's like, that's fine. It's like, what? What are you talking about? Like, so, there's a lot of things that, like, we kind of take for granted of, like, well, that's inconvenient. But it's like, yeah, but it's really best practices. And that's kind of the way you have to look at things. What was this guy supposed to be?
A futuristic wolf person.
Psionic tracker. So psychic. Psychic dog. Formula still saves lives. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now because of like within the first, before the kiddo was even born, I started getting like formula samples in the mail. And it's like, why do you know all this stuff about me? And I hate it. So there's definitely like a stigma against like having to use formula.
Yeah.
And
Nestle has also ruined people's lives using baby formula. So like.
So for a while there, it was very much like, even if you are breastfeeding, like, formula as well, because it's great and nutritious. And now it's like, you don't really need to do that. Like, it's excessive. Leave it for babies that need it. Like, so things change.
Yep.
That's really what I'm getting at. What we think of as good advice at the time might not always be the case. And it depends on each person. So talk to your doctors. If you don't like your doctors, get new doctors.
If you've seen 10 doctors and they all tell you the same thing, maybe listen. Listen about the vaccines.
Would Mando be a paladin rather than a barbarian? Yeah, why would he be a barbarian? I don't think he's a barbarian at all.
I think Elliot was making, or well, maybe not making an argument, but saying that's how they thought of Mando. Which, let's be honest, there are a million ways to make every character, so I'm not gonna debate it, but I am curious.
Oh, you make Mando a barbarian? Yeah, I don't see that at all. I don't think he's ever raged in my mind. Sort of feel like alignment or major character tropes have stupid versions of some type. Yeah, I mean, it's the lawful stupid or the chaotic stupid.
And
it has nothing to do with good or evil.
Yeah, that is also not the fault of the game system. That is the fault of the people playing.
Mm-hmm. Modern antibiotics or hell, even food deliveries at this point? What's wrong with modern antibiotics? Or just how we use them?
Yeah, I think it's the way people use them that is causing super strains of
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the antibiotics themselves, it's the
Take
it's
all
the,
your
it's the same thing with
antibiotics.
formula. Yeah, formula is not inherently bad.
Formula's great.
It is the way people have used it that is good or bad. It's the same thing with everything. Every resource, every tool. It's not inherently good or bad. Video games are just another storytelling medium. They are not inherently good or bad. It's how they are used and how they are abused.
Outlander background when I reference Barbarian as a culture in D&D. Yeah, Barbarian is not a culture.
No.
Be careful about that. Barbarian is a class. Class of player character.
Yeah, yeah. You can have a culture that tends to produce barbarians, but barbarian in and of itself is not a culture. People got to get their order of operations correct.
Yeah. I think that's actually a really good point that I think people kind of miss a lot. Like, if you have a shamanistic culture, that doesn't mean every single person in that culture is a shaman. It's just that their shaman define their culture, not like define their entirety of their culture. Their shamans are the ones responsible for defining it. Just like if you would have like a warrior class culture, like the warriors are the important part of their culture. They still have wizards, mages, farmers, librarians, but like they promote their warriors to a higher status. So semi-nomadic hunter-gatherers. That's not barbarians. Barbarian usually come from those kind of places, I think is what the book says. Which is why they usually say that they're supposed to be chaotic.
There is absolutely zero reason why a barbarian I really liked in Pathfinder how they talked about how classes were trained, right? Like the differences in classes in terms of the age of a character.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the training that's involved. Barbarians, sorcerers, like those are inherent. That is like
you don't train to be them. You just are.
Yeah, exactly. So you can basically be any adult age. They just are. So I like the implications of that because it really feels like a barbarian could just as they absolutely could come from a super primitive or shamanistic sort of society, or you could be a barbarian that grew up in a bar. You were a server in a bar because your dad owned the bar, and you learned how to fucking hold your own in a fight from a very early age because it was a rough and tumble adventurer bar.
Yep.
Ta-da!
Or did you learn how to channel all that frustration at military school, and now you're a fighter?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your sorcerer flavors everything. Yeah, essentially. Outlander Paladin, that's an interesting idea. I mean, that's great. Yeah. Any recommendations for a spell source planning on to play a sorcerer 3.5 games in 2 weeks? $3.5 has a lot of spells. I hate this hand. We're going to try this again.
Spell swords. Spell swords are a lot of fun.
Say spells are a lot of fun?
Spell swords.
Oh.
As characters, they're a lot of fun. Planning to play a sorcerer in a 2.5 game.
I really do feel like...
3.5 has the Magus, right?
No.
No?
No. 3.5 has... I don't think it's Eldritch Knight. What's it called in 3.5? Shoot. Spellblade? I think it's a spell sword. I think Grogu is a goblin wild magic sorcerer. Could be.
Certainly looks like one. And I firmly believe that Yoda's species are just space goblins. Long-lived space goblins. I don't actually care that much about Star Wars lore, so I'm honestly pulling that out of my ass.
Yeah. So the spell sword became the Magus,
Okay.
which was essentially a you have a fighter wizard or a fighter sorcerer would work either way, which is one of their prestige classes. You had to be able to wear heavy armor and cast spells at level 2. Supposed to be a barbarian noble. If you can think it up, it can be done to a point. Not to anime protagonist levels, but you can still do it. Yeah, essentially, yeah.
The Scald in 3.5?
I don't think so. I think the Scald is a Pathfinder character. No, Pathfinder thing.
Okay.
That was a prestige class. Nope, that's homebrew. The Warrior Scald. This is a Forgotten Realms exclusive class. What does that mean? The races of Faerun? Oh, 3.0. There you go. Depends on the Jedi. Some clerics, some are witches, blood ragers. Yeah, I guess so. Grumpy baby.
Getting used to existing is hard. It's a lot.
Blood Rager, what is that? It is a sorcerer barbarian.
Yeah, in Pathfinder First Edition, it's very, very powerful and a lot of fun to play. Although it's not a perfect class because the Barbarian Rage and the spellcasting kind of interfere with each other a little bit. But...
And I think there's an Unchained version that changes that. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, still, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think because of the interference, honestly, it's one of the better balanced of the combination classes.
It definitely makes you think a little more because you have to basically set up and then rage.
Yeah.
Which has led to the problem of, like, you get to the point where you're ready to, like, you're trying to set up and something either dies, and so it's like, okay, well, I spent a spell, but now I didn't have to rage at all. Or you rage, and then you need to cast a spell, so you have to leave your rage, then do it again. It doesn't work super great.
Yeah.
You know what? I think these shoulder pads suck. I think that's what's throwing me off. These are not sci-fi shoulder pads. Need more screws. More screws, more bolts. Less filigree. His hands are too big to use this gun, but I don't care. I'm going evil. I haven't 100% settled on something besides chaotic. I'm thinking neutral, just not chaotic stupid.
It's
glass cannon. Is it a glass cannon? I guess so. I mean, they're pretty beefy if you build them right. And then they get things like false life and other spells like that to make them a little tougher. They can extend their rage. Give their rage to other people. Alright, I think I'm just scribbling on this one now, so I think we're going to call that one good. I'm going to move on to the next one. Roll some dice. Oh, nice. A barbarian minotaur, all black fur, 16 feet tall, giant skull axe with a pet phoenix. I don't know if I'm going to get the pet phoenix in there, but barbarian minotaur, all black fur.
Yeah, maybe they can have a phoenix tattoo.
I think today does need to be more of a scribbly paint day.
Well, that's okay. Believe it or not, I feel the same way. Like that. Okay.
Nizumi? Yeah, I don't know what that is. What is a Nizumi?
Oh, Google. Nizumi is a Swedish lifestyle brand. And a character from One Piece.
Pathfinder and other really similar RPGs are allowed for things like classes in the above scenario. Oh, sorry, I missed Dragon Turtle's thing. What official race and subclasses do you think Master Splinter is? He is a rat folk, which, yeah. You could do a rat folk monk.
In Pathfinder and Starfinder is Isoki. Nizumi may refer, is a Japanese word, may refer to meaning rat or mouse.
Got it. Rat folk. Mouse folk. Yeah, either one would work. I think rat folk would be the right way to go about it. I made a video about that. Go check it out.
Yeah.
If you were isekai'd into a generic grab box D&D setting, if you looked hard enough, you could find most things. What sort of race, class, background would you be? Level adjusted and similar applies. I'd probably be a human, monk, or a cleric. That's probably what I would do.
And I would almost certainly be a druid. I could also go monk. But I prefer casting classes. I'd probably be a... Yeah. Druid would undoubtedly be my first pick. If I got to choose my race, I'd probably either stay human or go elf, maybe satyr. Or fawn, I guess, depending.
Do you get isekai places and get turned into different races?
Not usually.
I think that's kind of what I was thinking.
It does kind of depend. I've seen one. It was actually it looked fairly well written, but it was also very weird and like problematically sexual and misogynist. And it was where a guy got turned into a goblin. About halfway through, I wished that he had that Goblin Slayer.
Can't if it's reincarnation. It also doesn't help that your main characters are always human. I mean, yeah. I think I like playing humans. Humans are fun. But it would also be nice to live, forever. That'd be cool. Figure that out. In the new Lord of the Rings show, a lot of the elven stuff, like, specifically, there was a ladder that was just a grown tree. And I love that idea that, like, spending 10 to 20 years growing a ladder is like, yeah, cool. Hey, I need a ladder. Yeah, okay. Give me 10 years. Sweet. That is a dog nose, not a bull nose. Hold on a second. More square. Got it. I still don't get people to say all forms if immortality are a curse. At the end of time, the only thing that exists are gods and immortals. That's the problem.
The perspective is that being extremely long-lived comes with loneliness.
Yep.
As much as every human thinks that they don't need other people in order to be happy and healthy, you do.
Maybe elves don't, though.
Maybe. Although Tolkien's elves tended to... well, the ones that we hear about, at least, tended to make a opposite argument.
What was the thing? Han Solo was just Chewbacca's third dog?
Yeah. Which is why he went
Well, he left his son. Like, yeah, I'll hang out with you. Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back in a little bit. Hang it, it's fine.
No, it was yeah, but he went full the Oh, my brain is not functioning. Okay, stop drawing so I can think. Gotta make a reference. I can do it. I can do it. Nope, I can't do it. What's the the movie with this is how bad my brain is functioning right now. What's the movie with the guy from Matrix?
The Matrix?
Where they kill his dog.
Oh, yeah, John Wick.
John Wick, yeah. Can't even remember the name of the fucking actor. Am I having a stroke?
You don't get that. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point. I don't know. I've been enjoying Journey's End. That's a fun perspective. Kind of adventuring through the point of a longer-lived immortal person.
Hmm.
Which, I mean, is still just propaganda for saying that human life is more valuable than immortal life.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows if it's actually true? But yeah, the Tolkien elves are really cool because, I mean, they're supposed to be like perfect beings. That's kind of how they're designed.
Yeah.
So, you have to take it with a grain of salt there. Like, they're designed to be basically like little angel people. Perfect humans. And then humans are kind of just a degradation of it, but also separate. Like, they're supposed to be separate. So there's no real contention there. Except that, like, they're still mortal. They're not immortal. They just don't age. So, like, an elf dying is like thousands and thousands and thousands of years of death. And so, like, elves dying in Lord of the Rings is like, that's one of the reasons the elves don't want to fight anymore. It's like, we can't keep losing people because it's so catastrophic when one elf dies. But that's also why some of the elves just don't care about humanities, because they're like, it doesn't matter if they die, whatever. Like, their lives are so short and meaningless. And I think that's where a lot of that comes from.
Yeah.
Because it's all perspective.
It's also why they leave Middle Earth, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're not dying. They are moving to the land of the dead, but they're not dying.
Yeah, and they're basically giving the Earth to the humans, because it's like, it's their time to do stuff. Like,
yeah,
we've done everything we wanted to do here, and it's just done. So, I imagine Minotaurs are like gentle giants unless you piss them off. You've never been charged by a bull for no reason, so that's all I'll say with that. I weigh 2 tons, and I'm full of testosterone.
And are genetically programmed to keep everything and anything that moves away from their cows.
Yeah. There's definitely some gentle giants out there. I think it depends a lot on that. I mean, this is just from a farmer's perspective. It depends on the breed, depends on the environment, depends on what they're doing. But, oh yeah. Just like wild horses, like free range bulls will fuck your day up. Like, buffalo the same way.
Yep.
It's like, hey, yeah, I'm cool, I'm fine, I'm chill, and then you're like, I'm gonna poke it, and it's like, I'm gonna break every bone in your body. It's like, why? I'm not mad. I just don't want you near me.
First. Yeah. No.
That I think that's the big thing when you're talking about like your character's disposition. It's like what are the triggers that make your character do things? And with bulls, I think it's literally just proximity. It's just like too close. Like okay, sorry.
Yeah. And then if we are talking about minotaurs from the original myth that spawned them, the minotaur was literally driven insane by his twisted body and the goddess who is using him to punish a jackass of a king.
Yep.
So the minotaur was canonically not only like absolutely insane, but also homicidal and had a like a driving need to eat human flesh.
Yeah. Monstrous as a legitimate term, not just grotesque. Like, oh, he looked funny. No, he was want to eat people. Monstrous.
Yep.
Would a female minotaur have spots like cows? That could be a fun design. I've seen that. Yeah.
It depends on the breed of cow that you're basing your minotaur off of. There legit are so many different kinds of cows. And if you're running your own setting, then absolutely minotaurs can be just soft, super kind, gentle giants.
And just as a random point, I think dairy cows, both male and female, have the spots. It's just that we only value female dairy cows.
Yeah.
So all of the male spotted cows just get eaten.
Yeah. Or they keep one for a herd of 150 to be the breeding stud.
Yeah.
If we're talking about farm animals, generally speaking, the males mean almost nothing.
You only need a few.
They are.
Well, I mean, so that's. Yep. And then you got the thing. Then he's just.
Rook got apparently. I think I'm done with this.
He's like, got you, baby.
There is milk in the freezer if you need it.
Okay.
I don't know where the pacifier ended up.
Here.
I love you.
Love you. Take it. No? Okay. This kid is just epitome of fussiness for no reason.
All right, I'm ready for a new roll.
Hit me.
18.
Plasmoid Beast Barbarian. That's it.
Plasmoid Beast Barbarian.
Plasmoid Beast Barbarian.
Okay.
So this is supposed to be all black. I don't know how to draw that. Oh, kiddo.
If I put you over here by the cat, will that make a difference? You want to sit with the ski cat?
I'm not really familiar with the 5e Beast Barbarian.
It's essentially like a totem barbarian, so... Or not totem bar. Yeah, it's similar, right? You get natural attacks, I think.
Form of the Beast, yep. You...
Slowly shapeshift into stuff.
Yep.
I want to be a werewolf. Beast barbarian. No, I want to be a werewolf. It's like...
What's the difference?
These are the same picture. Never would have thought of that. It's actually, I've seen a few people do that build, because they assume that since they're a plasmoid, they can just shift into any type of beast they want. It's like, I guess I would give you the pseudopod attack, essentially. Like, I'd let you use the pseudopod for all of your stuff. Am I not allowed to talk to anyone else? Is that what's going on? I have to pay attention to you. Oh, sleepy baby. Alright, what should we do to make this more barbarian-esque? Shoulder pad? Skulls? Skulls might be good.
Skulls are always fun.
You are the fun. Would it be cool to use bones or teeth you collect from monsters or characters? That would be pretty fun, yeah. I'm a big fan of putting bones in oozes, because they need hard points. So, I think that would be great. Beast Barbarian is pretty much the closest thing you can get to a lycanthropy without actually being one. I don't personally see the problem, plus you wouldn't need to worry about silver. Yeah, that's my problem with it, is that you're essentially getting all the benefits from being a werewolf, but none of the downsides. So it's no longer a curse. It's just, this is a class feature, which is fine. But I like the cursed aspect of lycanthropes. So, that being said, if you are playing a lycanthrope, or you want to give somebody a werewolf thing, you can just give them a level in Beast Barbarian. Like, that's mechanically a way to do it.
Or just pull some of the class features that seem appropriate, give them those class features, and then say, oh yeah, also now you're wildly allergic to silver.
Yep, that is a great way to do it too. Looking at like the natural weapons scaling as you level.
Yeah.
You can look at the Beast Barbarian for basically for reference, and just be like, yeah, that's how I'm gonna give my characters lycanthropy without breaking the game, you know.
Yeah. You really do just need to make sure you got trade-offs.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of the same thing when looking at like if you want to give your players special superpowers or something. I like to give people either like uses of smite if they were an equivalent paladin, so you're basically just giving them the paladin feature of smite, or lay on hands can be a really fun one, as well as what's the other one? Oh, like the cantrip features of warlocks. Just like give them a free cantrip, like an Eldritch Blast. There we go. Give them an access to Eldritch Blast. How would I make this guy all black? Really dark blue? Let's go like a dark gray.
Yeah, I usually do dark blue or purple. Sometimes green.
Let's see what we can do with it.
One of my favorite things about drawing plasmoids is I can get real funky with the just the way I distort the anatomy proportions. I feel like I'm really pulling from that the villain from Batman Beyond that had the downed disc power suit.
Ink or something?
No. Ink was the plasmoid, and he's probably the scariest villain in there.
Which is essentially just like amped up Clayface, right?
Yeah. Clayface, if Clayface had been trained to be an assassin by the government.
Right. Mr. Freeze. No, I don't think it's Mr. Freeze.
No. I think his name is Shriek. Batman Beyond.
What are your thoughts on the dark gifts from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft? Is that just like vampire powers? I don't know if I know exactly what they are. Did Shriek talk like Christopher Walken?
I don't remember.
Or was that the weird, like... I don't know. Batman Beyond was cool, but it had some weird choices in it that I didn't quite understand.
Oh, absolutely. And also, all of the new villains are just Spider-Man villains.
Yeah.
Yep, that's correct. Right, that is Shriek.
Alright, we're gonna give this guy like a phoenix tattoo, and I think we're gonna call it. Is the Legend of Zelda shield supposed to be a phoenix?
It is supposed to be a giant bird, but not a phoenix.
I guess it's supposed to be the skyfish or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's the Skyloft. The whatever the birds are in Wind Waker. Or no, not Wind Waker, but Skyward Sword. I don't like this angle.
You know, it would not surprise me if some of the same animators worked on those two things, but I never watched Ben 10. It wasn't something that was on during my time of having TV.
Mm. My little brother watched it, so I saw a fair number of episodes. It was... I was too old for it, and did not enjoy it. It's definitely written for a young audience. Time it came out. And I do think it was well written, but, as I said, I did not enjoy it.
It definitely had the proportions of this is made for action figures.
Yeah. 100%.
Angry baby noises.
Kind of sounded like I said no.
Just angry grumpy mooing for no reason. Well, I mean, like, I know the reason.
The reason is he wants to be held. Just like, hold me or I make noise. Hello.
Hi, baby.
This is definitely like I'm trying to do the stream with the child today, and it's not working very well. So we're gonna have to figure this out. Hopefully, partially just too young.
Yep. Well, you know what? Stream can just I can be sufficient for a little bit.
Want to show this one again? I'm trying to give you the pacifier because he tries to shove his hands in his mouth.
Uh-huh.
And every time I do, it gives me this look of like, what is this disgusting thing? And then I take it away, and he's like, okay, stick something in my mouth. It's like, come on. One of the two. Ben 10 was my favorite piece of fiction growing up. He's got almost any kind of superhero, all the same show. Yeah, I think that was the weird part for me, is it felt like... I have that issue with a lot of Superman has always been kind of one of my... I like Superman, but it's kind of my least favorite superhero because he just has too much.
Yep.
It's the same thing with like changelings. I'm not a big fan of changelings as a race for D&D because it's just like I want all the stuff. It's like, how about you pick something? Like no, I want everything. It's like, okay, like I'm not a big fan of this. So
Yeah. The only like seriously overpowered superhero that I really like is Dr. Manhattan because he is so deeply flawed.
Yeah, a little bit. I can see that. Because it's the same thing with like Thor too. Thor is not doesn't have all the superpowers. He's just so powerful compared to everything else that it's like the show becomes, how do we remove Superman from the show? How do we get Thor to be distracted so that the other characters have something to do? Give me all the superpowers. Yeah. And so with Ben 10, the few episodes I did watch, it always seemed like I have a thing that will solve this, but it doesn't work today. And it's just like, this is a weird way to write a show.
Yeah. And they really, really did need that that caveat of it's an unreliable MacGuffin.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was reliable, then everything would be solved and there would be no conflict. I still believe that they did a pretty good job writing it, given the premise of the thing.
I mean, for shows that go on for a very long time, that was probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
But I remember watching it and then watching it years later and being like, the fuck is going on here? Malfunctioning Swiss Army powered is a bit of a trope, but it's fine for what it is. Yeah. I mean, did all of these characters probably have sonic powers? Is that what we're looking at? I mean, part of the thing with Batman Beyond, though, was that because it was in the future, it was supposed to be, like, iterations of old villains, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, like, the logical conclusion of where the tech in the previous generation of super villains had led kind of things.
Yeah, how did Batman fuck up the future? That's the question.
And how did Joker fuck up the future as well?
Yeah. Best episode of Superman animated series was when he had to interact with magic or other aliens from a combat perspective. Yeah, I mean that
he had nothing that could function against it.
Yeah. Two multiverse things, so very similar. Got it. Boom, 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 boom. All right, I think I'm gonna drop this one here. Big Minotaur boy. Let's draw the next one.
Good.
See what we can do.
Looks good.
A male Aasimar cleric with some raven wings. Aki does this weird thing with its scroll, like the layers. For some reason, when I use my pen, it's backwards. I have to scroll. I have to scroll up to go down. Very, very weird.
Interesting.
Okay. Male Aasimar Raven Wings. Got it. One Vaxeldan coming up.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Maybe we'll tip the chin up. I don't think Ben would be OP with more control. He does in Alien Force and Beyond and still isn't an auto win. I mean, like, the wristband, though, was designed to be, like, the ultimate weapon, wasn't it?
I think canonically it was designed to be the ultimate translation tool,
Oh.
but became a weapon basically.
Because they gave it to a 10-year-old whose grandfather was a military nut.
No, because it did stuff that became because it didn't just translate shit. It
Translated your DNA.
yeah. So I guess the creator wanted it to engender more empathy in people, and then and then aliens across the universe were like, "Whoa, that can give me all of the powers of all of the aliens that are horrifying and naturally militaristic, and can be exploited as such."
Were there
Oh, yes.
alien races that were just normal, like people? Or did
I
humans
think
have
so.
some inherent ability over other aliens?
I'm not sure.
What was the last one I got?
I only know that their grandfather boinked a super powered magic alien.
I
And
mean,
that's
wouldn't
why
you?
his, I mean, probably. If she was into it, sure.
We've all seen Men in Black.
Yeah, true. I'm not judging. I'm just saying what the story beats were.
There is this, like, inherent, I think, kind of reflexive defensive thing that happens. It's like, Superman's overpowered. I don't think he's overpowered. It's like, he's overpowered. Like, it's okay. It's okay. It's like,
Yeah.
That's his character.
He's also designed to be that.
That's
way.
kind of what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like, so Ben 10 is he's always supposed to win. He's the main character.
Yeah.
But
He's a power fantasy for 10-year-olds.
exactly. Yep. Just like Naruto has the, like, oh, he's got the most powerful super demon thing in his guts. Oh, and also his parents are super powered. It's like, hold on a second. You start off the show with him being this, like, loner, stupid kid, and then, like, wait, he's a star child of epic proportions.
Why did his community hate him? Oh yeah, propaganda.
Yep. Oh, and he was an annoying little shit, but
Yeah, well, I mean that too. But was he an annoying little shit because everybody hated him, or did everybody hate him because he was an annoying little shit?
the world may never know. Yeah, being overpowered isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just all how you tell the story. Most stories
There've just been a lot of overpowered characters that are bad.
Yeah.
But there've been a lot of pretty much every kind of character, like every kind of trope that has been bad at this point. I think that's actually that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy watching overly sarcastic productions trope talk. Is because it's Red talks a lot about writing tropes, and for the most part the base idea behind the series is present the trope, explain how it's been used poorly, and explain why it's not inherently a bad thing, but it's authors who should have known better who've made it into a bad thing.
Sure. I think a big part of it with tropes specifically is that it's you can still use tropes if you're writing it well. And I think for what you're saying is it's more that they're easy to write because they've already been written.
Yeah.
And so they get kind of copy pasted into shitty stories.
Yeah.
If you go down that rabbit hole, every story becomes boring. Dragon Turtle, I think you might be a nihilist. I'm just going to put that out there. I have to talk a lot about general, like... What's up, kiddo? You need a scooch? Ugh. I need a place where I can just, like, set you on the desk. No. Bah.
When will you be able to sit up and take care of yourself like the cats?
That's kind of what I'm... Yeah, I feel like right now it's very much... Take care of me if you want me to live. It's like, I need you to be a little self-sufficient before I can really do live streams with you hanging out. I have to talk in generalizations a lot. Because we're talking about like a community, or we're talking about a group of people playing a game, right? I can't say everybody loves D&D because that's not true. Like this, it's not true. There's a lot of people who don't know what D&D is. But when you start talking about basically Ben rehoming an animal rescue animals. What? Oh, for Lilo and Stitch. Okay, gotcha. Saying that every story gets bad. I think there's just a lot of bad stories. Like, for every blockbuster movie that is really good, there's, I would give dozens to hundreds of shitty movies that are made, right? All of those stories are, not great. Some of them are bangers. And there's some blockbusters that are awful, too, so it really is just a game of numbers when it comes to story writing. Even among, like, really popular authors, it doesn't always mean that all... Like, look at... What's his name? Cocaine Man. Stephen King is prolific.
Yeah.
And he does that by just writing so much. Like, so...
Yeah.
He spans multiple genres. Like, different groups of people like him for different stories, but not all of his stories are good, and that's okay.
Yeah, in fact, one could argue that the majority of the stories are pretty bad, actually. We think that a lot of his stories have been adapted. A very, very small portion of the things that he has written have been adapted into other media.
And a lot of his stories end with, and then this one person turned out to be an alien. And it's like, this is garbage, but for some reason that works with a handful of them.
Yeah. So that, like, this is one of the most important things to learn if you're going to criticize anything. And that thing very specifically is, just because you don't like it does not mean it's bad.
Yeah.
We need to, if we're talking about the quality of a thing, we need to be using quantifiable reasoning and terminology.
Is being an overpowered character bad? Does make the underpowered characters become better? No, I don't think that's necessarily kind of what we're talking about either. Like, I don't think being an overpowered character is bad. And yes, it does make people rise up. Like, that was the whole thing with Naruto again, is like, the main character at the beginning of the series sucks at everything. And the person that he thinks is overpowered and superpowered and awful, he has to try to catch up to. But at the end of the series, it's just like, oh, and by the way, you're both demigods, and so it doesn't matter anyways. It's like, that's kind of lame. That's kind of a lame way to end it. But, like, that's how a lot of shonen anime is.
Yeah. Is
just like, look at this completely unexpecting person. Oh, by the way, he's just supposed to be the chosen one. And there's nothing wrong with that, per se, because they're still good stories. They're just like, when you just like say the story out loud, sometimes they sound really stupid. Dragon Control says, I'm not a nihilist. I've always had some suspension of disbelief. We know that the main character will be the center of things and will live until at least the finale, that everyone doesn't all die. That way everyone doesn't all. Yeah, I mean, the big thing with stories is, like, when we're watching a movie or reading a book, you're following the path that leads you the farthest, right? Like,
yeah.
And if you don't, then Godzilla steps on you in the first chapter, and that's the end of the book. And all of a sudden, now you have a new character, and it's weird. I think a really good example of kind of that or maybe a misdirection instead of, I was going to say non-linear storytelling, but like a misdirected storytelling is Gurren Lagann. You're not really sure. You think you're following the main character, and then they switch it up on you. They switch it up on you all of a sudden halfway through the series, and you're like, wait, what? So, like, both of those things can be true. Like, you can just suspend your disbelief knowing that, oh, we need to follow this group because otherwise what's the story about? But then you have the opposite of, like, Game of Thrones, where they never directly tell you who the main character is, and you're just kind of watching this world unfold and kind of vying for people to be the main character.
I mean, if we're talking about Game of Thrones, the main character is the throne.
Kind of, yeah. But in some situations, that pulls me out of the story.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, I don't become attached to people very easily. Because it's just like, I don't know if you're important or not. I'm not going to remember your name until I know you're important. But yeah, character death is an interesting story mechanic. So, still waiting for an anime where somebody is trying their hardest not to become the protagonist in the story.
Watch The Tragic Life of Psyche K.
Okay. Superman makes me think a lot of when they view it from the creator's point of view. Makes a lot of sense when you view it from the creator's point of view.
Yeah.
It's a lot of superhero stuff too. Yeah. It's like the hero's journey is just that way, right? Like that's the base story that we use for a lot of things. We have a handful of monomyths. I'm trying to think, like, I took a class in college that talked about a lot of this, saying that there's only a handful of like stories that exist. Like Spider-Man is essentially Frankenstein rewritten.
Yeah, kind of. It's what the argument is usually that there are about 7 stories, right?
Like
and then
that,
every other story that is told is just a variation on that theme.
Yep. And that goes for anime too.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that also fulfills the genre requirement, right? Like, how do I know if I'll like this? Well, it's like these things. It's like, cool, okay. Like, we generally have a kind of a type that we like to enjoy.
It is kind of very funny, I think, for anybody to make the argument that Superman is a bad story because he's too overpowered, because that's Lex Luthor's position.
Yeah.
Superman is too powerful.
No one should have that much power except for me.
Yeah.
I would really highly recommend people watch All-Star Superman. I think it's one of the better explanations of this.
Yeah.
Voldemort should have won. He had to only sacrifice one Horcrux, and bam, he wins. Yeah, the Harry Potter universe is cool. I think the story is bad. Like, it's badly written. There's just so many holes.
Yeah. I'm ready for a new prompt.
Hit me. We've talked
13.
Kobold Appraiser? Yeah. Kobold Appraiser Smuggler. Hold on a second. This is written in a weird way. This is not a sentence. This is
y'all on the internet, you need to do better with your English.
Kobold Appraiser hyphen Smuggler, smugger than you, hyphen thinks you're richer than you, hyphen holding floating crystals, many pockets. Yes? Question mark? I'm thinking it's a kobold smuggler.
Yep.
I'm going to stick with that. Spider-Man is Frankenstein? I don't get it. Frankenstein is about making something, quickly regenerating it, and perspective of making separate from other creations. Yeah, no, you got to think about it from the meta commentary of it. So Frankenstein is about science maybe we shouldn't fuck with science and creating monsters and people creating monsters with it. That's what Spider-Man is about. Only instead of it becoming a reanimated person, it's a spider that bites somebody and then it gives them superpowers. So
Yeah. And then all of, well, not all of, but many of the villains are similarly
science-based.
mutated by science.
Yep.
The lizard, rhino, scorpion, shocker has those like sonic wrist guns, whatever.
Doc Ock
like
is
that's
taken
it's
over
all
by
science-based.
science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Harry Osborn is essentially Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Whereas Frankenstein as a creature wasn't really all that bad for humanity.
Yeah.
But his existence kind of fucked things up. And then J. Jonah Jameson is just like, he's a monster! Destroy him! Get your pitchforks!
Yeah.
Like,
J. Jonah Jameson, as the person who writes the newspapers, is very literally the people with the pitchforks in Frankenstein.
Hulk is a personification of a nuclear bomb. Yeah, and there's a lot of that. Like Godzilla's the same thing. Like it's just like, what did and all the way up to Twin Peaks. Like it's all what did us creating the nuclear bomb unleash on the world? Like that's all what it is. So pretty much all of X-Men is talking about the civil rights movement and kind of othering people. Stories are like Beowulf, I think, is still the monomyth. There's Beowulf. There's Gilgamesh. Superman is Gilgamesh, which also falls into the isekais and the white savior complexes of just like a random person demigod shows up who is the only person that can save us from XYZ, and we're all powerless to do anything except for this person. Jekyll and Hyde, yeah. Jekyll and Hyde were the same tropage. And I think not Journey to the Center of the Earth, but like the Time Machine and stuff. A lot of H.G. Wells were pretty iconic, but still followed the same kind of things.
Same with most like air quotes exploration sort of things are that same sort of are Gilgamesh. Pretty much everything I ever read of Edgar Rice Burroughs was that same trope. Tarzan certainly is.
But Spider-Man doesn't focus on that. I mean, Spider-Man is a decade-spanning narrative of tons of different artists and writers. So Spider-Man was originally designed around that. Now it's been a whole bunch of other stuff. So people focus too much on the message of stories. I
disagree.
Yep.
I want to pivot away from that because I'm going to start arguing for high art if we go too far down that, and that's not a position I want to take.
You can absolutely enjoy a story without looking at like the meta commentary of it.
Yeah.
But art is a filtering of the artist doing something. So
yeah, and
whether or not
there are reasons we tell stories beyond just entertainment.
Yeah.
If entertainment is all you want to get out of it, that's fine. But as a species and as cultures, there are bigger and more important reasons to tell stories.
There are always two lenses: the
And
author's
everything-
intent and the reader's intent. And then
And
everything.
everything can be more than one thing.
Parables exist, yeah. Like a big thing, like a lot of people read into the Lord of the Rings about World War One and Two,
Yep.
and Tolkien was just like, no, it's not that. It's not that at all. And everyone's like, yeah, it is. And he's like, no, I refuse. So like, the author's intent and the reader's like interpretation of things are can be vastly different. And maybe the artist didn't intend it to be one way, but it does. It's huge. It's the same thing with Starship Troopers. We talked about that a little while ago because of Helldivers.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
people don't know the artist's true intent because he died, and he never really talked about it. And so
Yeah.
people are like, I can't tell if this is actual propaganda or really well-written satire. And that might have been the point. Lord of the Rings is my favorite isekai. That was funny. I'm off on a journey. When did Gilgamesh travel? That was a big part of the myth. I mean, that was the whole story. Gilgamesh was written before Journey to the West. Journey to the West was basically Gilgamesh again.
Yeah. Gilgamesh is, as far as anthropologists can tell, the oldest written
Like
story
story, yeah.
that we have.
It's also the first like superhero myth. Gilgamesh travels all the way up the coast, raping and pillaging his way, and just being a general badass is how the story goes. And then he shows up, and there's this place that's like, oh no, the demons are attacking. He's like, I can fucking deal with demons. And so he goes and he swims into the ocean for 2 weeks or so, punching snakes the whole way. Like, it's 100% Journey to the West, but written 3,000 years before Journey to the West was.
And in a wildly different culture.
Yeah. Journey to the West is great, though. Same thing. Gilgamesh predates the Bible. It has things that are in the Bible in it, which is great.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Journey to the West was a serialized magazine.
I have not thought of it that way. That's hilarious.
Yes, it was a self-published, like, pamphlet. Which is why this. If you read it,
very
like,
first zine.
if you read it back to back, it's really weird because it basically has a start and finish for every chapter. It's just like, and this week the Monkey King and the Traveling Pilgrim, blah blah blah. It's really, 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 really funny. I love it. It's one of my favorite books.
If you've never read the Epic of Gilgamesh, I recommend it.
Yeah, it's good.
Believe it or not, it is actually old enough to be in the public domain.
It is. Mm-hmm.
You can find it and read it for free online.
And oddly enough, like, because Journey to the West is, like, China has a really, really, like, tight grip on it.
Yeah,
So it's really hard to find actual, like, copies of the original.
Especially decent translations.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the reason I have not read it. Or at least that's the reason I tell myself I have not read it.
Yeah, a lot of people compare the two because they are somewhat similar, but they're different stories. Both are kind of obsessed with immortality. Both have to deal with superhuman demon slaying gods, but they are different stories. Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Yeah, those are pretty good too. But no, Gilgamesh has been around for a long, long time. Like it is influenced so many things that I think it would be to say that there's no influence. I would say that's probably I would not be surprised if there was more influence there than not.
Yeah. But think about it this way. Put it in perspective. The Epic of Gilgamesh was ancient when Egypt was in its heyday, which was ancient when Greece was in its heyday, which was ancient when Rome was in its heyday, which is ancient to us now. Like, thousands of years old.
Journey to the West was written in 1500. 7th century China. Okay. Oh, it's set in 7th century. Published in 1592. Gilgamesh was written somewhere between 1600 and 1100 BC. So, Gilgamesh was as far away from Journey to the West as we are from Christ. I feel unlikely the story would travel that distance without mutating horribly over the journey. Oh yeah, I mean, like, these are Gilgamesh's, like, it's Gilgamesh was so influential that parts of it are in the Bible. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, which the Bible, like, once again, was written way after Gilgamesh. So the fact that the Gilgamesh could be just the story itself told and translated and shifted, like, it's one of our monomyths. Like, we're still telling that story.
Yeah.
Like, 100% we're still telling that story. Aesop's Fables, Brothers Grimm's, yeah.
This is one of the funnier kobolds that I have ever drawn.
Let me look at it. It's pretty good. I dig the head shape. Can also be an argument that many of the stories in the Bible also are from much older stories told in the same age and era. Yeah, exactly. 100%. There's a lot of... the Bible also used to be a lot bigger.
Yeah.
There's a whole chunk of the Vatican library that is weird stories about griffins and shit that they're like, maybe we just take that out. Maybe we don't need that. So... Storytelling is like, it's a part of human condition. It's telling stories.
Yeah.
But I mean, even looking at, like, Romans and Greeks bastardizing their own or each other's pantheons, like, there's so much crossover as things kind of shift and change. Very few stories are wholly unique. And who knows, maybe Gilgamesh actually exists. Maybe it wasn't a story. Maybe there was actually a guy that could hold his breath for a week and told Noah to go fuck himself.
Yeah, and apparently lived in the Monster Hunter universe when that was our world.
Right, yeah. Wish me luck on the concert. Yeah, good luck, Dragon. I hope that works. I said dragon, drag.
Okay, coat with too many pockets. Coat with too many pockets.
Treating art like propaganda. Well, Dragon Turtle, if you pretend that no art is propaganda, you're feeding into it. Like, that's the whole purpose of that class I took that was about this. It's called Monsters We Make. And it is basically talking about how the use of storytelling and propaganda in general, like, make you other people and, like, split things apart. When really, we all kind of share the same thing. Like, we're all pretty much the same, telling the same stories.
Yeah. Also, maybe take an art history class, and you're going to learn very, very fast that the vast majority of art throughout time, including everything that is produced now, is propaganda.
Yes,
It's some kind of propaganda.
I remember when I took my first art history class, and that's what my art teacher started saying. I remember being like, that's fucking bullshit. Like, art is just art. It's like, no, they're using sex to sell this book. Like, you may not see it, but they are. It's like, oh, shit. Open your eyes, sheeple. It's like, what?
It's also important to note that just because something is propaganda doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong.
Yeah.
All it means is that it's trying to sell you on an idea. And the way to escape that is to be aware of the fact that it's happening. And then think for yourself.
Nothing in this life is free. Anyone that tells you otherwise is trying to sell you something.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's the nihilist now, huh?
You can find propaganda in anything. Yeah, most things are propaganda. Was treating such leads you down the path of political zealotry. I don't think so. I think you have that. My opinion is you have that backwards. Like, understanding the means of everything, like, and understanding how to avoid becoming polarized by something is really important. So, like, yes, the colors you choose to put on a kite probably aren't propaganda, but if it's an American flag, it might be. Does that make sense? Yep. Like, not everything is propaganda, but most people trying to sell you something are trying to sell either something to a demographic or to push a demographic. Yeah. You start judging every action in other dude's political statement. Yeah, it's not all political, though. Like, that's the thing with propaganda. Propaganda isn't necessarily, like, political affiliations or hate-based. It's marketing. It's all marketing is the thing you have to look at. So, like, looking at political propaganda or, like, social propaganda, that is in everything. Like, from Walt Disney's just having Walt Disney was kind of an asshole, but probably not intentionally. Does that make sense? Like, reaffirming things because he didn't think about it was kind of not great, i.e. Song of the South. But it goes now to people using that as a political, like, hot button to polarize people. So there's a difference there. There's a difference between something being produced that can then be used for propaganda and something being produced for propaganda. So there's a whole bunch of different ways to do that. And a lot of it is just contextual, understanding contextual cues of why things are created. So, yeah. So, yeah, finding propaganda and everything. I mean, just understanding, like I said, the author's lens, what their intent is, and then how people view it. That's the two things you have to look at. I think another good example of that is like the goblins, the big green-nosed goblins that for a lot of time people were saying was like anti-Semitic. Look back. It's not a bad way to draw goblins if you're not doing that on purpose, but you can also see that some people are offended by it. So if people are offended by it, maybe just don't do it. Like, you can find other ways to do it. That's the intent versus the thing, right? First person to do it might have been doing it badly. Like, there was propaganda made for Jewish people to look that way. Like, that was propaganda for sure. But it then became part of a lexicon for something completely different. And so now it has this dual meaning, and it really depends on the lenses you're looking through and how it's being utilized. So art is complicated.
Yep. And the only way you get any of it, you ever have any hope of getting any of it straight, is to learn something.
Mm-hmm.
And like, nobody here expects anybody who's listening to suddenly like be a perfect critic, or be super woke and understand everything. Like, it's just be open to learning stuff.
Yeah.
Be open to challenging your perspectives. That's all. That's all I'm asking. This is maybe the best duster I've ever drawn.
Nice. How do you prefer to draw wings? I've seen most people use them coming out of the shoulder blades. I've seen more towards waist, Diablo's Lilith, for views on placement. I used to do them on the shoulder blades, but my problem with it is from the back, it doesn't make a lot of sense because they should be your arms. So if you did that, you essentially have two shoulder blades stacked on top of each other.
Yep.
So I started looking at them more as, if your arms are up here, you would have more muscles to then come down and go out, and you have more place around the back here. So I started dropping them. A little bit. Like, this is connected up here, and then it's got the wing joint.
Yeah. I don't particularly like them on the hips either.
Yeah,
but
the hips I think
I
are
agree. It's
old school Capcom sexiness.
yeah.
Like, we want to draw a voluptuous lady. Where we put the wings up here, so it doesn't obscure the boobage.
Yeah, and also creates lines that draw towards the hips.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of those, where that originally started, they were also really tiny wings. Like, they were almost non-existent wings.
Yeah.
So, I see the wings on the back as shoulder blades, sort of like webbed between your fingers. Yeah, and then that's I think what a lot of people do too, because your shoulder blades are kind of already wings looking, but they attach to your shoulder.
Yeah.
Which would then leave
They're
this.
the back part of the joint that holds the ball and socket of your arm in place.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, chickens have shoulder blades.
Yep.
And then they go into little into your arms. Yeah. So you're essentially trying to attach two shoulder blades to the same spot, and I never liked that.
Yeah, same. So basically, the solution is to when drawing wings, think of it as the character has four arms and plan the anatomy accordingly.
So if I'm doing that, I'm essentially extending out the rib cage.
Yep. Same. Making sure that they've got either an extra pectoral connection to or a hidden pectoral connection and an extra set of shoulder blades.
Yep. What's your favorite race to draw? I like drawing elves. I really like drawing elves. Kind of just a little extra longer than humans. A little more curvy. A little more fluid. So the shoulder blades were an anchor point for muscles. They are and they aren't. Like, so your shoulder
Everything
blade.
is more than one thing.
Yeah, your shoulder blade looks like this. Okay. And then your shoulder bone is right here, and then up the front, your clavicle goes here. So you have these 2 points where the muscles touch, but not really. Like you have cartilage and stuff in between there. Sorry, this should look like this. There we go. But it's essentially an open ball and socket. You created a socket with these 2 bones, and then muscles are attached to that. So you have a large pack here that goes from the top of your shoulder blade down your back, I think on the inside. I'm trying to remember where all the other muscles go.
Yep.
And these wrap, and then you have another one that goes here, and then you have this goes into your tricep. You have one on your shoulder blade, one on the top, and then one on the front. And those attach and wrap around. And then your tricep comes up here and attaches to the tip of your shoulder blade.
Yep.
And comes down like that. And then your bicep is also attached to your clavicle.
Yes, and the bicep attaches in 2 points.
Yeah.
Like
Top of the bicep and then the elbow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with shoulder blade. Sorry.
Yeah. So bicep is like this whole section anatomically is very complicated.
Yeah, human shoulder blades are awesome.
Yeah. And then like there's the trapezius, which wrap over the top of both of those, or over the top of that. So yes, there are like the scapula, the shoulder blade has tons of muscle connections. It also glides over the top of the rib cage.
Yeah.
In the back, and is the anchor point for the shoulder bones where they connect, how the arm is supported.
Yeah. So like you have all of these muscles underneath on your back, which just help you move your core back and forth, and then you have all these extra muscles attached to your collarbone or your shoulder blade that let you move your shoulder blade around. It's pretty nuts, including your pecs. Your pecs are part of that.
Yep. One of the reasons why your pecs are so large of a muscle group, they're I think the 3rd largest muscle group, maybe the 2nd largest muscle group on your body, and that is the reason. It's because they support the front half of all the locomotion that happens with your arms.
Yep. Anatomy knowledge, a hidden talent, a great artist. Yeah, 100%. If you want to get better at drawing people, buy an anatomy book. Anatomy for Artists is my favorite. It shows you both the actual muscles and ways to draw them, which I think is great. What do you stand on wing size? I say bigger is better until walking, balancing sort of looks stupid and then back up. Well, so if you're trying to do something like anatomical, you need to look at birds. Like birds have hollow bones, one. So that allows their wings to be smaller. So if you have a dragon who has very dense bones and you want to give them wings, they need to be bigger than like a condor wing. Like you need to look at like a vulture for comparison of body size, right? Which at that point you have like head this big, wings this big. So there's your dragon. Massive. So normally what I do when I think about wings is I look at like condors, which have pretty large wingspan because they're soaring birds, versus like a hummingbird,
which have tiny wings comparable to their body size.
Yeah, and they have to move them like insanely fast. So most times I think of people, I think of big burst gusts and then glide. I generally try to make them about the same size as the person, because if you have a bird, you're going to have arm, and then this is going to be about the same length of the body, just this forearm, and that's half the wing. So the main arm of the wing should be longer than a person's arm, and a human's arm span is the same as their height, right? Like,
yep.
Essentially. I don't know. The Vitruvian Man fits in here somewhere. All of these things are equidistant. Birds are going to be bigger than that because they have to extend that That reminds me, would centaurs have 2 sets of ribs? Yes, they do.
Yes.
Yep, 2 sets of
They
ribs, 2
basically
spines.
have to.
We were talking about that earlier. It's really creepy, and I hate it. I think I'm about burnt out, so I might stop here.
Okay.
But I'm going to talk for a little bit. Just going to hang out. Yeah, centaurs.
I'm still going.
Centaurs essentially have the human part down to the hips, and then the horses have the horse parts up to the neck, and then these two are fused. So you would go spine to top of the neck, and then another horse spine here, and that's how the centaur do. And I don't like it. Are there D&D races with glider flaps instead of wings? Yeah, not D&D. But you have the Hazy? There's a race of monkey folk with glider skin. And I hate them.
I always forget about them. Our official art for them is such garbage.
It's from Starfinder, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And the reason I really hate them is because their skin flaps go from their wrists to their hips, like this. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense. Nothing about that makes sense. It's just weird. Personally, I like massive wings on Aarakocra replacing the arms. I do too. I like the bird. I don't know why Aarakocras have limbs beyond 4. Like, they have 6 limbs. Same thing with dragons. Dragons have 6 limbs.
Yeah. We've talked about that before. I tend to agree. I prefer to give Aarakocra the Breath of the Wild treatment.
Yeah. 2 spines, not just 1 long one. I mean, yeah. If you want 1 long one, you're essentially either going to be giving the person on top the horse neck spine, which would only be 7 vertebrae, or you're dividing the vertebrae up so that the person's head would be really long, and then you have to like giraffe it so that all of the spine bones are massive, and you're gonna get like a weird noodle horse. So I would do 2 spines, because this is gonna give you a weird like clustering of rigid body centaur form. Do you ever see the baby centaur picture?
I don't think I did.
I think it's an XKCD comic. Might be a Saturday morning breakfast cereal comic, but like, it's baby horses are born with the ability to run, but baby humans can't hold up their heads, so it's just like it's just like floppy baby on top of a tiny horse. You mean like how harpies normally are? Yeah, I like the harpy design too. Centaurs always felt like monsters than people treated like races. Yeah, I mean, centaurs were looked at as a monstrous race for a long time. Yep, there's the picture.
That's also how they're generally treated in lore, right?
Yeah, they're not supposed to be like super cool people. That being said, like, because they're monstrous, they have a higher race point calculation, which means they're just way stronger than most things. The idea of the Aarakocra having a wingspan and therefore an arm span to smack you 10 feet away is strange and funny. Yeah, I mean, a little bit. The other part about that, though, is if you have your regular designed person, right, and then they have this, and they have a sword, that's one thing. Like, they have a 5 to 10 foot reach with their weapon. If you have an Aarakocra, little bird man here, and you give them a wing, their arms are going to go to where their arms are, and then they're going to have their pin feathers, like their pin feathers, which is about the same length as a sword. So like, they're not getting much more reach, because you're not going to put the hand at the end of the fingers. Their hand is still here. Their hand is still where a hand would be. Does that make sense? Bird anatomy and people anatomy is not super different. It's just the proportions are weird.
Yeah.
Because you have shoulder blade,
to arm, to wrist, and then hand and fingers. And sometimes you can get more kind of a larger hand here, and then the fingers go.
Yeah. If we're really going to be like seriously, if we're really seriously talking about like the proportions of wings, I actually like to use pterosaurs.
Sure.
Because pterosaurs are like pterosaurs did not have hollow bones. They were super beefy, heavy gliders.
I think it's something like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Tiny body. Like most of their mass though was their head. Like that's the other thing.
Yes. Yeah. In that regard, they're very much like pelicans.
Yeah. 100%.
But apparently, according to new papers, I guess it appears like they could swim. Like they could land on the surface of water, and they could skip themselves forward using their wings and take off from the surface of the water.
Did you ever see? Have you ever seen a bat swim?
I have not.
Super creepy. They do it the exact same way they fly, and it works.
Yeah.
It's just slower. It's just
that
slower.
does not surprise me.
Now I'm craving buffalo wings. Yeah, I mean that's one way to get better at anatomy is to like eat shit.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, like if you look at a chicken wing, right? You're like, oh, that's stupid. No
Yep.
wonder chickens can't fly. They have this situation going on. I did that backwards. I think I did. That works. It's just backwards. There we go. You got little chicken leg here. You're like, that's stupid. How could they fly? Because they have giant ass feathers. Like, that's the problem with chickens is their pin feathers are really small.
Yeah. Another one of the problems is their breasts are white meat.
Yeah.
So there's a difference in the type of muscle. White meat muscle tends to be
Quick, right?
fast twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it meaning that it
Sprinters.
it can flex really hard for a short period of time, but tires out really easily. And then red meat, like we get off of cows and other ungulates, which are designed to run. Red meat is it's the opposite. It's not super strong generally, but I mean you can get power out of it, but it's designed to function at high efficiency for a long period of time.
Yep.
Which is also why tuna is red.
If you go look at like naked parakeets, it's really funny. They got tiny little hands, tiny little dinosaur hands.
Yeah.
They don't need the claws no more. Birds are dinosaurs, people. Favorite dino? I really like the Stegosaurus, but I think I draw more Triceratopses these days. Hold on a second.
I don't think I have a favorite dinosaur anymore. I tend to like ornithomimids the best, but they're just birds. So they fully fit within the classification of avian dinosaurs. Oh, dragon turtle responding to your want to get better at drawing, you need to eat shit, but how do you draw people? You don't have to eat people to understand. Basically every single vertebrate is built more or less the same. All of the major bits and pieces correlate to everything else, which is the reason why you dissect frogs in high school, or why you used to. Was because you can learn so much about human anatomy from dissecting a frog. The shape is different, but all of the structures of the pelvis are the same. All of the organs are the same. The general, like the shape and structure of the femur is the same. Yeah. Even if we're talking about horses, horses have all of the same um, uh, bone groups generally, but no, yeah. And this is Druid talking, by the way. Yeah, I know it was a joke, but I'm going to take it seriously because I can teach something, and I'm a nerd. Yeah, so it's you can learn how to draw better from basically anything, which is one of the reasons why I like to draw so much. I also love to learn. Anyway. Yeah, don't eat people. You don't need to eat people in order to learn how to draw them. You do need to know what people look like naked in order to draw them clothed, though. I will maintain that stance firmly. Drag. Ooh, Diplodocus is very cool. I do like Diplodocus drag.
It's the blue one that's good.
Blue one, yeah. This one just hates the texture of it, I think.
I'm wrapping up, Rook, so we can end whenever you need
Sure.
to.
I think I'm gonna have to call it. It's 2:00 anyways. We did a good job today. At least not eat people in that way. Yeah. That being said, you can eat some pigs. You can eat some bears. It's all that stuff. It really is just muscle. Like, if knowing how muscle attaches to bone really helps you understand volumes. And volumes is something that a lot of people struggle with, myself included.
Yep. Yep. Same. Still.
The more you can understand, like, oh, a rib cage, it's round. It's like, it's not. It's very boxy. Very boxy, and it does something like this, and it wraps around, and it's very weird. It's very weird in a weird shape. So the more you can understand that, the better off you're going to be. And you're not going to be able to do that without looking at rib cages.
Yep. That's why I prefer to call it the bean, because beans can be all sorts of funky shapes.
Yep, that's good. Do that. And then this go here, and then this go here, and then this go here, and then muscle do this, and attach like that, and then you sternum, and just all go. Just all go. So that's what we got. We got through quite a few. I think we did like 15 or 20 this week. It was a lot.
What?
We did a lot. Yeah. But thanks for hanging out today, everybody. Thanks for dealing with Angry Baby. Angry Baby is going to be a reoccurring character on this show, I think. But we'll see what happens, and we'll figure that out. So thanks for hanging out today. I don't have much else to say. Next week we'll have another post up. I might not have a Wednesday stream. I'm not sure yet. We have people in town, so it might just be a Friday stream, but we might also have a secret stream on Monday or Thursday. I don't know. We'll find out. So I'll still post the thing for next week, and we'll go from there. So stay happy, stay healthy, keep your ass on the table. Thanks again, everybody. We'll catch you all next time. Bye.